Hello everyone, welcome back to the SMITE Beginner's Guide to Solo. This time we will be talking a bit more about counter-building and building specifically against the enemy team. Last match I was going for a more general build, which is why I didn't talk about this too much. I did reference it, but I wasn't really specifically counter-building, simply because I wanted to talk about more general solo builds. And the reason why I wanted to start with the general solo builds is because as a new solo player, you're not necessarily going to know the matchups or the right items to build against specific opponents or anything like that. So you're going to want to start off with general builds, both to really feel out how you want to play solo for your own style and how to better adapt to various enemies. Usually this actually will begin at this screen where you can see what the enemy has picked. In this case, it's fairly reasonable to assume that I will be up against Vaman, but that's not necessarily guaranteed. I have seen some very strange things. Solo lane Loki is very popular, as an example.
This place must have security devices.
They don't have Vaman. Alright, he'll join up. He'll probably pause the game, which is fine. But we're going to get a boost on the enemy because we know we're going to want that. I am going to be leaning a little bit more into the physical side of the damage there. I keep getting the approvals on some of the there it is. So when you start out your build, regardless of who you think you're fighting or who you are, you're really not looking to go into any specific protection. Focusing on one or the other protection can get you killed if you guess wrong. Even if you're usually right, it's still not a guarantee. For example, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going up against Vaman, and I could be building a little bit of physical protections ahead of time. But if I'm wrong and I go up to say against here, then I'm going to have a problem because I will, in order to get the protections I need faster, I would need to either commit to the physical protections, which wouldn't be entirely bad, but would force me to play safe in the beginning, or alternatively, I could sell the small amount of physical protections, be behind in gold a little bit, and then start going into magic protections instead. So it's generally a really bad idea to just assume go into any kind of specific, that was quite loud, go into a specific protection type. So we really don't want to be doing that at all here. So just keep that in mind.
Honored to meet you.
That's really just not a good idea to do. The only time I would say it's pretty safe to select one is if there's an overwhelming majority of one particular damage type. For example, if there's 4 physicals, you can be reasonably confident that your laning opponent's going to be physical, but even then, you might be surprised and the magic damage dealer could be in the solo lane, so you really don't know for sure 100% of the time.
Minions have spawned.
And this probably will be an early surrender because I don't have him on. Alright, that's okay. There we go. There he is. He has arrived. Has he arrived in time is the question. Although this will give us a unique opportunity to really play counter build ahead of time, so throughout this match, just keep in mind that I will have a huge advantage in counter building. He is going for the teleport. Okay. What did you start with other than teleport? I actually don't have that yet. A little bit there. What do you have? He went with Mannequin Scepter. Okay, so he's going for an auto attack build, so now we know that.
Finally, I can test this spy gear I've been working on.
This is going to work out really well. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to want to do then is... Oh, he might be going for Transcendence. I might start with Transcendence as well. Might not necessarily be too bad of an idea. Be fairly conservative with my ability usage here. I have the ability to be conservative without too much problem. I don't know where Loki is right now. He could be over here. He could be on his way over here. I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and do this Harpy really quick over here. Just do it without using any abilities so I don't give myself away too much. Good.
And so the fight for survival begins.
Please excuse me.
He is looking for that. hope to kind of try to catch up. He's got a little bit of a damage advantage over me right now because he has Morning Star, and he's also got the physical protection
Spin to
from
win! Come here, you!
Command Concept as well. But I have the advantage of minions.
If only they accepted us, we could have saved them.
Gotta go!
You have slain an enemy.
That was mostly just because he didn't have the early start that I did. Primarily what that was about. Although we did have a little bit more items, technically speaking, which did help even out the odds slightly because he actually went into lane with a little bit more gold than I did. I'm going to, well, no, because I did clear the blue buff, probably about the same amount of gold. He just was able to purchase the Morning Star right into that. And that is an interesting solution to the problem that I mentioned earlier, where you don't know what your laning opponent's going to be. You could, instead of building protections, build damage like he did. Yeah, he's clearly going for Transcendence here, which is fine. We're okay with that. He's going to be hitting pretty hard, and I think at this point we can build Transcendence ourselves. Hold on, let me double check this. No, not really. Not at all. Okay. Just going to go ahead and poke him out a little bit here.
Please excuse me.
Good play, good play. Farm here. I'm going to come over here. These guys moved a little bit earlier than I was expecting them to.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Thanks!
I definitely needed this mana buff. Thank you, Susano.
Enemy missing, right?
Very good.
Yes.
An enemy has been
Now notice I
slain.
haven't been back yet because I really don't need to at this point. I've got nice full HP.
Come here, you!
I have all the mana I need at this time. I'm not worried about the fact that I have none right now. Poke him a little bit. Grab the totem. Put this
I'll
down.
just leave this here.
We're just trying to maximize our farm right now. I'll be going back probably after this wave. My upper ward there is going to be fading soon, and I want that up. So I'll be going back at some point in the near future. Alright, this would probably be my golden opportunity to go back. Nope. I want to be going back
Please
and
excuse
getting
me.
Transcendence here.
I am.
Okay, that's good.
Your middle tower is under attack. Ultimate is ready.
That's not too much of a problem. It was a good move on his part, but this leaves me with a free ult, basically.
Release your negative energy.
Come here, you!
One less opponent that
hit
can
him, but I
stop
didn't.
us.
You rock.
Please excuse me.
I'm surprised he's being so aggressive right now, knowing I have my ult.
One-way ticket to Beatsville!
Your middle tower is under attack.
Threat
That's all I needed.
eliminated.
Now that was a risk, and I was only really able to effectively
An
take that
ally
risk
has been
because
slain.
I knew
My shell.
Loki wasn't around. He was over and right. I'm gonna go ahead and take this on. I'll probably clear a wave.
He's down!
He's already back, so I'm not gonna have a ton of time for this, if any. I know he's got teleport.
Your right tower is under attack.
That should be all I need. I have my escape if I need it. Let's see if I can pull this off. This is a risk I'm taking right here to stay so long in lane. That ward coverage. Good enough. Nope,
Enemies in the right jungle.
we're out of here. Okay. I just have to let him take that because I'm not going to be able to contest him at this point. You get
This match is
Transcendence,
bolstering the tournament.
you get wards, you start teleporting over there, and then you get one ward and get the shield.
One-way ticket to
Exceptional.
Beatsville! Gotta go! Enemy missing!
Please
Good steal,
excuse
good steal. I was trying to hit him, but I missed and hit the scorpion instead. It was a little unfortunate, but that's okay.
Finally, I
Ward
can
here,
test the spy gear I've been
This
working
ward
on.
here. Now I'm building Gladiator's Shield because I know he's going to be looking for that damage, unless he's going for Earthseeker, which is possible. Then I'm going to want Glad Shield for that really nice hybrid effect there. Good, see nice free poke there. Alright, I'm going to
They
go for the
sacrificed their whole
Enemy
self for
ultimate
us.
I really
down.
can't contest him under tower at this
Remember
point.
them.
I could probably dive him with my ult, but I don't really see a need to at this point in time. Keeping him low on HP does help lower his ability to farm. But probably... Oh, he actually went back. Okay, that just means free farm for him then.
Come here, you.
That's fair enough.
Your middle tower is under
I'm curious
attack.
what you actually built. You did build Transcendence.
Please
Okay.
excuse me.
Eat down.
I need to go pick up my mana buff in all honesty. I'm gonna go ahead and use this. Got 2 minutes for my teleport, so we gotta play this smart. So don't do anything goofy. He's really aggressively going after that wave, huh? Alright, alright. I respect it. Okay. He's trying to catch up and farm right now. That's what he's desperately trying to do. He's probably at his mana buff, to be honest. Alright. Clean. That gives me an absolutely free opportunity to go for this totem. There he is. He's going to try to take this.
Gotta go.
Please excuse me. I am
Steal? It's steal.
enlightened.
Help! Help right lane!
Okay.
Please excuse me.
Good dodge, good dodge.
Exceptional.
Good. I just hit because I my
Such
transcendence
potential
with more
wasted.
stacks. I didn't need that shot. It was unnecessary. Where's Loki? Oh, Loki just died. Okay. That's alright. He's going back. I'll clear this wave and then I'm going to go back too. I don't want to be fighting him with him having 2 items and me not having 2 items. That's very risky. I know he hasn't got teleport. Let me
An
rephrase that.
ally
I know he
has
hasn't
been
got teleport
slain.
up. I'm gonna put my
I'll
ward
just
here.
leave
I'll
this
actually take
here.
out the harpy back here first. I feel like I have the time for that at the very least. Oh, the totem's back. Nice. Okay, everything's back. You know what? We'll go for it. Should have gone for the scorpion first, though.
Your
For the
middle
healing.
tower is under
I have
attack.
teleport back up, though.
One-way ticket to Beatsville. Come here, you.
See, this is the real disadvantage of not building protections. Okay, now I'm dead. That was a good play.
Shell shock.
You have been slain.
He'll probably die as well if Susano picked that up. No, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Your middle tower is
Do
under
I want to go
attack.
with this? Do you have any physical weapons where
Elimination.
actually I want to go for Void Shield? I think would be a bit better choice here. Glad Shield is nice, but it's not something I need focus very much. For my protections, I should probably get pestilence in all honesty.
Tower is under attack.
Surprise! I still had this up.
Just like anchovies on a piece. Okay. Gotta go.
Release your negative energy.
Yeah, now you're stuck though, because I know you don't have your ult. You can't get away from me because of that. You can have my mana. I don't care.
Your left.
Their
about to take you
rampage
out.
won't cease.
Come here, you.
An enemy has been
Find
slain.
reincarnation.
Your right
Alright.
tower is under attack.
Nope, that's fine. Take this really quick. Fully stack.
Exceptional.
Down.
Did not know that Loki was over there. Interesting.
Hi.
Finally, I can
Your
test
I'm gonna
this
leave Loki
fire
to
I've
that.
been working
No,
on.
he's not actually.
Your right tower is under attack.
It's fine. Hopefully Hopefully I can take the tower before mine is taken. Is he still over there? That's a good question.
Spin to win!
We'll let the minions take care of that. I'm gonna go over here for some farm.
Your right tower is under attack.
We'll just go ahead and take this really quick.
Hey, what's up?
He just warded that, that's fine.
I am
Waste.
enlightened.
He's close to my tower? Complete waste.
Your right tower
He hesitated
is
too
under
long.
attack.
Release your negative energy. Please excuse me.
There.
One-way ticket to Beatsville!
Okay, you're going for the pure
They
protection
lack the
zone.
will
Alright.
to see this through. They sacrificed their whole self for us. Remember them.
Your right tower is under attack.
Letting
must
he
fight for
let
survival.
my
Do
duplicate
not.
Your middle
whack it.
tower is under
That was
attack.
really bad strategy. I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to make me miss my ult hit, but with fully stacked Transcendence, my decoy actually hits pretty hard. Does he have his mana buff up? Because I kind of need one. He does. Excellent. That's also his tower as well.
Their rampage won't cease.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit this wave one more stick.
If only
There we
they
go.
accepted us, we could have
We're
saved
gonna go to
them.
the mid and see if we can salvage that situation. Now that we've cleared the tower, we are now going to be rotating pretty heavily. Using teleport to return to our lane as needed.
Gotta go!
Defend! Your middle tower
I
is
don't have time
under
to defend.
attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
No, you played that very well. You
That's
played that
too
very
bad.
well. I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, he's going to take my tower. He's just going to dive forward, which is fair enough. I can
Your
respect
left
that.
tower has been destroyed.
It's not as efficient, but I guess it'll do.
Let me see. I want magic shell. No, it will go for magic shell, I think. We need the ward. That's fine.
Come here, you!
We'll save our teleport for the moment. I just want a little bit more farm, so that way I can get pestilence. Then I might get, I don't know if, do I get Glad Shield? Am I feeling Breastplate of Valor? I might go Breastplate of Valor. That would be pretty good.
Enemy missing! Enemy missing!
Such potential
Enemy
wasted.
missing! Oh no!
Breastplate of Valor would be pretty sweet, because now we're going to 10. Which is never a bad thing. What would I go into after that, though? Genji's Guard? Seems a bit extreme, but... My goodness,
They sacrificed their whole self for us. Remember them.
Retreat!
One less opponent that can stop us.
no way that
Did anyone get the license plate?
well,
We
give
can
him an
repair
opportunity
you.
to
This
just
is
hit,
not
it
the
probably
end.
didn't need that much of an opportunity. Let me see.
Your middle tower is under
What I
attack.
might do is go into Hide of the Urchin. That would give me some pretty substantial protections. Then go into Glad Shield to push me a little over in the physical protections. That actually is probably a good idea, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Seems like a good option. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Let me see. Yep. Reducing physical protections, it will help Bands of Baru. Will help Suzanne out. Yeah, I'm actually really fine with this. Should all. I assume get okay. Not get okay. Fair enough. He looks like he's going to start sovereignty pretty soon. Which is nice. Okay. Now another thing to keep in mind is I can afford to kill as much damage as I've got because I was ahead of the Vamon because he had a late start. That's what we're using now.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I am
Easy counter.
enlightened.
Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Eat down. Retreat left flank. Gotta
Please
go.
excuse me.
Oh, are there enemies incoming?
Enemies incoming left.
I'll back it up then. I somehow missed that. Okay. There they are. Did not bring enough
An ally has been slain.
allies here.
An enemy has been slain.
Your right tower is under attack.
Hidden in plain sight.
Oh,
Double by deletion. Exceptional. Our will is unstoppable.
That's too bad. Your right tower
we're
is
just trying to
under
stall out
attack.
for Loki.
Your right tower
Good play,
has been
good play.
destroyed.
Am I gonna make anything out of this?
Spin to win. Eat down.
That's what I was looking for. I see Chiron down there. We're gonna have to get out of here. This is gonna go very south very quickly. I saw him in the jungle for a brief second. I think he was getting rid of a ward. What we're gonna do is take the Scorpion. See if we can lure him into a fight. I need to be going back at some point soon, getting my hide of the urchin. I don't have enough yet for it, I don't think. Yeah, I need about 500 more, which is fine. Alright. That's all the healing I'll get. And thank you.
Thanks.
Pick it up, please. Thank you. Okay. I need 1800 for my hide of the urchin. And we're pretty close to it now, which is
Enemy
good.
missing left.
There's the 1800. Okay. That's all we needed. Grab hide of the urchin, start building those stacks.
I just rolled a 1. I'm saying
We'll be getting, I think Glad Sheep would be the better option. They only have 2 squishies, so I do want to go a bit more heavy on the aggression here. So we'll go with that. It'll give us 20% cooldown reduction, which is about
One way
about
to get to
one. I could go
Beatsville.
Breastplate of Valor for 20% and slightly more
Enemy
physical
spotted.
protections, but I'm not
Attack.
necessarily
Fire
sure I
giant.
want to go that far. Although I
Attack.
might
Fire
anyways.
giant.
Steel.
Your skills are marvelous. Extraordinary even. One less opponent
Okay.
that can stop us.
He's already dead then.
Double kill.
Say so myself.
Exceptional.
Eat down.
Triple kill.
Can we take this?
Shut down.
I'll be fine because I can ult. This is the beautiful thing.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
And I can just have the decoy tank.
Attack to Beatsville.
I'm attacking.
An
There we go.
enemy has been
Very nice.
slain.
I'm being shot,
Conflict
but that's fine.
breeds resolutions.
Right. Now, technically at this point, I shouldn't have actually been tanking that because the support was there to do so. There wasn't actually a need to tank that. Like, they refuse to die so easily.
I gotta go.
Let's see. Looks like everyone's gonna get out just fine.
Retreat.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make it out just fine. I could fly away with the bird form, but the bird of nope, but I'm not going to because I want to make sure that these guys get out alive as well. Just a quick harpy slap, you know how it is. All right, there's. Oh shoot!
Retreat!
I'm working on it. I'll make it though. I know they're gonna try to cut me off. They did not try to cut me off. Okay. I'm a bit surprised by this. I thought for sure they were gonna try that.
Enemies at
I
the
think they're
fire
not
giant.
chasing me anymore. Yeah, I'm out of here. Alright, that was very close. I am going to go into Breastplate of Valor, I think. I think that's really my best choice at this point, considering Chiron has high penetration. He's got Titan's Bane as well. He's got Heart Seeker. Yeah, Breastplate of Valor is honestly my best choice at this particular junction. I mean, just look how much Penny's got. 20, 30% default, 15 flat over here. It's just disgusting. He's got an extra 3% on his mark there, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe it's 3%.
One-way ticket to Beatsville.
So we are going to counter build in that way. Now the benefit here of the Hide of the Urchin is I'm going to have bonus HP to counter the Heart Seeker here, as well as bonus HP to counter Soul Reaver, which are otherwise going to be a problem. Now I knew that they were, well, I won't say I knew because that's a bit of a stretch, but I anticipated the likelihood of them building those kinds of items because we have 3 tankier people on the team. Sun Wukong obviously, Ganesh obviously, and Geb. Even though Geb was playing a jungle role, he's still a little bit tankier than your average jungle, so it's pretty natural and pretty expected for them to be building some form of anti...
Eat down.
Oh wow,
Come here, you.
It's pretty natural for them to be building a lot of anti-tank items, which do the percentage of health damage.
On my way.
Very, very standard form there. So while I couldn't have guaranteed it, I've seen tanks, and there are a lot of people who build anti-tank items even if there aren't really that many tanks. It's a fairly good estimate. I am surprised Chiron went into Titan's Bane, though. It's an excellent item on him, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great pickup, and I think it's a really smart choice for where he is. But I am surprised he did so, because not a whole lot of people build that right now, even though I think it's underrated. It is definitely not the most popular item. Okay, see, this is the problem with Chiron. It's not the turn main. If I didn't have Breastplate of Valor, I'd probably be far less healthy than I am. I might not even had the opportunity to use my ult there.
One less opponent that can stop us.
Let's see if I can delay them at all. Get my team to catch up.
Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful.
I know. Just trying to get them to fight over here, so that way we have a good opportunity to do something else. It's all I'm working on.
Attack fire giant.
Gotta go.
I tried.
Gang.
Yep.
An enemy has been slain.
For my fight.
I just need to survive long enough to get my ult back up.
One-way ticket to Beatsville. Spin to win.
That was a huge gamble. If Geb hadn't
Thanks.
shielded me, I'm pretty sure I would have died there.
Release your negative
Whoop. Over there.
One less opponent that can stop us.
Probably where I die. Nope.
Thanks.
They have saved
elimination.
my life twice now. To be fair,
Their
though, I'm
rampage
massively
won't
over-aggressive at
cease.
this point.
Exceptional.
They won't expect the
So good, so far so good. Am I gonna make this? I barely made this.
clan still needs me.
That was close. And now we're just gonna tank this because we can. I mean, we have
Imbeciles!
Oh man,
there,
that's
so that was gonna
unfortunate.
make a huge difference. We have all the gold we need to build the last part of our bluestone. Absolutely delicious. Alright. Now we're gonna go back. Now what I want to do is finish the bluestone brooch, upgrade my relics, and start looking at the enemy's items to make sure they haven't done something that I might not want to specifically counter. Alright, so we've got some nice mitigations with Void Shield. And we're actually reducing enemies by 15%. So that'll help against Ymir. That'll help against Vamon, who's only built physical protections, which is fairly interesting. I have anti-heal through Pestilence for Persephone. I am building some items that will help against Soul Reaver and Heartseeker for both of their damage dealers here. That's really nice. Loki looks like he's building some crits. I may have to build Spectral Armor. I may have to swap Breastplate of Valor for Spectral Armor, depending on how far he's going into those crits. We're going to wait on that. If he goes into Rage, I'm probably in trouble, but if he goes into Deathbringer, it's only a 20% chance. I think I can probably get by with the physical protections that I've got. I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem, in all honesty, so we're just going to go ahead and play that
On my way.
see where we go with this. Very good. Just want to make sure Geb was going to get out alive. He was. He played that really smart. He didn't even need me there. I know for a fact he's trying to do a pincer attack here. Yeah,
An enemy has been slain.
Okay,
That was
Come
a
here,
very
you.
poor strategic choice to avoid there.
on my way.
I shouldn't have chosen Vamon out of all people there, but that, I guess, doesn't make a huge difference. Okay.
Their rampage
We're gonna go ahead
won't
and swap me out
cease.
for my decoy. We're gonna go in here.
One less opponent that can stop us. Double bite deletion. Their rampage won't cease.
Oh, that was extremely close.
An enemy has been slain. Where did they all go? One less opponent that can stop us.
Not die for that thing.
Deicide!
Even and out. Alright, excellent. So yeah, really when that's really going to be when you become more familiar with the game. I would say about
No problemo.
I would say once you've gotten to about, comfortable with your selection and you've kind of got a general grasp of what the items and the particular gods do, you really shouldn't have quite as much of a problem really being able to predict what the enemy is going to do. Like I said earlier, I knew we had a lot of tankier people on our team, so the likelihood that the enemy team was going to be building stuff like Soul Reaver and Heartseeker, I was anticipating that kind of thing. Now, what does surprise me is that Chiron went with the ability version. I have seen this before. This is my preferred way of playing Chiron personally, but I wasn't expecting it here because in terms of the general populace, this isn't the currently more popular way of building him. This is a little bit of a less popular way of building him with the general public at this point in time, so the fact that he built Heartseeker was quite a surprise to me. This doesn't surprise me. This is very commonly built right now, and I am going to talk more about enemy items than the support because the solo really cares about what the enemy is building. Anyways, for more than just protections, the support only really needs to care about what kind of damage output the enemy is dealing for solos, they need to be kind of trying to adapt to enemy individual choices here. For example, when I first saw Vamon and Chiron and Loki, as well as Ymir, there was the thought that crossed my mind that maybe I should be building some form of attack speed reduction, right? And, you know, to really boost this idea, they built Mannequin Scepter, they were going into Transcendence, Transcendence being particularly good for auto attacks because 100% of that boosted damage that it's doing is converted directly 100% into power, which isn't the same for abilities, which scales somewhere between 5 to 200% as far as I've seen. Actually, I've seen up to 250%. But anyways, you know, how much an ability does damage based on your power is very individual, but usually when you're looking at Transcendence, you are looking at auto attacks, so I did see the potential here. So I went with Transcendence myself. I was going to be ahead because Vamon was late, that was very obvious. Vamon was building Transcendence and was being slower about it because, again, he was late, so I knew I could carry this off. Do you always want to build Transcendence as a solo? Not necessarily, but I realized immediately that he was very likely building Transcendence when I first saw that Morningstar, and that if I started building Transcendence, I would be able to beat him out in a lot of situations, and I was absolutely correct. He was late to the game, and he should never have started Transcendence, because that opened the door for me, who was already ahead, to build Transcendence, but better and faster, right? So that's why I chose to go into Transcendence. Now, my next move here was to capitalize on my damage output. I chose to go with Void Shield, because I knew longer term this was going to be more useful to the team. Key point being Danzabutter, Susano, and myself all do physical damage, so the aura of reducing enemy physical protections by 15% was going to help the three of us. If we had a magic jungle or a magic ADC, I probably would have gone with Glad Shield instead, because we only would have had the 2 physicals, and the need to reduce enemy physical protection wouldn't have been as high. You see what I'm saying? If we only had 2 physicals, Void Shield would have been far less impactful, and I probably would have gone with Glad Shield for better ability damage, right? Now, at this particular point, and I was too busy playing to actually elucidate on this, but let me do so now, in kind of a classic Smite video way. But as I was building this, Vamon went into Breastplate of Valor. This makes a lot of sense. This is a fairly common pickup right after Transcendence. This is something I briefly flirted with buying, but I really wanted Void Shield at that point after a quick assessment. And I built this later on, but at the time when I built Void Shield, I had the advantage. If I was behind, Breastplate of Valor would have been what I built, and this is actually why Vamon built it. He was behind, he needed the cooldowns, he needed the mana, he needed the MP5, he needed all of this, he needed all of the stats of this. But across the board, I also recognized that Persephone had Soul Gem. Chiron, of course, has his self-heal, and Vamon has his self-heal built right into their kits. Vamon's ult heals him as he's, you know, in giant baby form, and Chiron just has this passive heal going on. While Chiron's passive heal isn't a huge deal, when you consider the fact that we've got Ymir with Gauntlet of Thebes, which would make Chiron a little bit tankier, not by much, but by a little bit. I realized, and you know, with Sovereignty, which I didn't know at the time was going to be built, but it was a fairly good guess, because again, we had the 3 physicals, so if you've watched my support videos, you'll know, hey, 3 physical usually means Sovereignty. And it became true here as well. Same thing with Ganesh. 3 enemy physical, Ganesh builds Sovereignty, right? So really that's what that comes down to first off. So I could reasonably anticipate this. I wasn't 100% sure. I know that this is not really a consistent metric for a lot of supports. Both supports built Sovereignty in response to the 3 physicals, which is nice to see, but ultimately, you know, it was this very interesting guess on my point, especially since he went into Breastplate of Valor first, which did cause me to doubt, but ultimately I knew at the very least that Persephone was going to have Soul Gem, and Vamon and Chiron had self-heals, so Pestilence was going to do some work. The Ymir was reasonable. I mean, you had Sentinel's Gift. It was reasonable to assume in the future he'd be building Sovereignty, so it worked out really well there. Then I went to Hide of the Urchin. Now, I went into Hide of the Urchin because at this point Persephone had this, Chiron had this already, and I believe Chiron had Titan's Bane as well, and Loki had Heartseekers. That's 3 items that are doing percentage of maximum health. And Hide of the Urchin is really nice here because this actually gives me a little bit of a health shield that I can use to absorb the initial hits of that. And you could really see that preserving a lot of my health in the late game. It really came in handy. Furthermore, I get a small power boost because of the mana plus Transcendence, and I heal a little more out of my ult because my maximum HP is going up, which is what Sun Wukong's ult heals off of. He heals based on a percentage of his maximum HP, which is really nice. So, I had all this going for me, which was fantastic. So this was a really great build overall. It really helped me deal with the large amounts of penetration coming my way, the large amounts of percentage of health damage coming my way. Fantastic. And you'll notice that they built a ton of penetration. She's got 10% here, 20% here, an extra 10% from the passive, and then this is used to give penetration. You know, Chiron has Heartseeker and Titan's Bane. He's got flat pen out of the wazoo. 25. Good old Loki has 10% here, 15 here, 10 flat here. You know, it's a lot of penetration out of the damage dealers. And that's ultimately, as I explained actually during the game, that's why I ultimately wound up going with Breastplate of Valor over Glad Shield, because it was a toss-up, as you know, from the video, that I was having a hard time deciding between the two, but ultimately I went with Breastplate of Valor, and based on how many close calls I had at the end of the game, this was definitely the correct choice for that situation. Be that as it may, that's really what you're trying to think about as a solo lane. You're trying to counterbuild as many enemies as possible in a very broad way. Notice that Pestilence was really effective against 3 of them, but didn't really matter so much against Loki, who wasn't healing, and Ymir, who only really had what I would essentially call passive healing from HP 5 and a little bit from Sentinel's Gift. So not really a big deal there. But I still needed the HP and the magic protections from it, so it was overall a good buy. And most of these items, you know, have some kind of answer to multiple of the enemy, right? So that's really what you want to be thinking about when building solo. Your first 3 items should really be focused on whoever your laning opponent is. In Vamon's case, again, Bluestone Pendant, because I wasn't 100% sure. Vamon was late and started building Transcendence, so I knew I could build Transcendence better and faster, so that was my second pick. And then I knew that if I built Void Shield, alternatively I could have built Glad Shield here, but I knew if I built Void Shield, I could really capitalize on my higher early damage here because I had the head start, and really slap Vamana down quite effectively, and have Void Shield translate really nicely into the late game. The last 3 items were built more in response to the enemy team as a whole. So really that's where you want to be coming from as a solo lane player. So your first 3 items really should be decided by who your laning opponent is, and again, don't assume who your laning opponent is. If you like to build power as your second item as a solo lane, that's fine, go ahead and start that up, try and do as much damage as you can, maybe achieve an early kill to really push you forward, but it is a bit riskier than just going with some protections right off the top, or even better, a hybrid. So just a word of warning there. But, yeah, at this point, I will probably... I'm not going to really talk about items specifically for solos, because as I've said, solo is probably the most customizable role, so unlike support, which has a lot of items that it generally wants to go to, solo lane doesn't, because there's also auto-attacking solo lanes as well, which I will, you know, show you in the next one, to show you kind of the difference there, and a different mindset, and then I want to go into a magic solo lane as well, really exemplify that. But this was, I just wanted to talk about counterbuilding specifically. So really you can approach solo lane in 2 ways. You can have a kind of generalized build that's approximately good in all situations like in last episode, or you can do what I did here and kind of counterbuild to your laning opponent first, and then in the second half of the game you counterbuild to the enemy team for a magical time. So that's really, you know, what you're looking to do there. Those are your goals. So I hope this helped. If it did, please like and subscribe. If it didn't, please ignore me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, what have you, requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And yeah, as always, thank you very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.